Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
It's the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com, your destination for all things gardening, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and a whole lot more.
Kyle Cherek is the host of the Emmy-nominated television show Wisconsin Foodie, beginning its 9th season just this past Thursday on PBS, and the broadcast prime time to over 8.2 million households, found right here on MPTV on Thursday evenings at 7:30 p.m. He's a born and bred Wisconsinite, and he has been sitting up and taking nourishment since the Nixon administration. He sees the Midwest as a font of history, craftsmanship, and artisanal dispositions, all of which are continually pushing national culinary and sustainability trends forward. As a host of Wisconsin Foodie, Kyle profiles these food chargers and chronicles the story of food through regional chefs, farmers, and artisans. Welcome to the program, Kyle.
Thank you, Holly.
Well, we're so happy you've taken time out of your busy schedule to join us on the program today, Kyle. We want to start with, and many people who see gardening programs, food shows on TV, they want to know, how did you get in the position of hosting it? Because maybe somebody's listening and goes, I can probably do that, but where did you start? How did you get into this?
Well, you need to lose a bet, really. That's how I got into the show. It was a bet with myself. I was planning on, I was dead set against doing more public things. I was going to calm my life down. I was going to be less social and less active. Previously to the show, it had a very outgoing, I was involved in a bunch of boards in the city. I did a lot of charity things, just incredibly social. And I'd had some life changes, one of which was having a brand new son. And I wanted to do absolutely less. And of course, that's the time when the universe has different plans for you. When
right.
You're convinced this is the path I should go on, and says, no, how about over here? The practical answer is that the executive producer and creator of the show, Arthur Ursink, who is a great guest and one of the founders of the Shorewood Farmers Market, who you should have, I would suggest have him on the show. He's a terrific interview. He was a neighbor of mine, and we were living in a loft building over in Walker's Point. And we knew each other, but really only anecdotally. And he had this idea for the show, and he and his wife were having dinner out of town. And after a great meal, they both concluded, I'm going to do this. Sketched out the first season, or at least ideas for the first season, on the classic napkin, right? As we all, all great businesses and ideas we got on cocktail napkins. And he turned to his wife and said, who's going to host it? And she said, you should ask Kyle. And that's really how it came about. We had a drink at Hinterland, which is a terrific restaurant in Milwaukee, and he pitched me. And I said, if I can use my own voice and it's unscripted and I can co-produce or add to the stories, I have to have total buy-in on the shows. Otherwise, it won't be authentic. And he said, that's what I want. I said, great, let's shoot a pilot. And we'd fill your radio show with the rest is history part, but the rest is history, essentially.
So you were you couldn't say no, or was it ever a doubt in your mind that you were not going to do this?
I was on the fence. I said yes right away. I didn't know if anything would come of it. I said yes in the sense that, let's see if we can work together. I'd never seen his video work, so it could have been garbage versus the artistry that it is. I didn't know. I had no bearing. It's like someone saying, let me, bake a cake and decorate it for your mom's birthday. And just because they say they bake doesn't mean that they decorate cakes beautifully.
Right.
So I took a risk on that, but I was curious, and I wanted to see how we would work together. And I'm a storyteller at heart. I'm a recovering English major. And so it was the story aspect that really hooked me in, more so, to be candid, than the food and the agriculture and the culinary history, though I'm an English major who almost was a history major together. And I thought, this could be really intriguing and exciting, and let's at least see how we work together and what kind of products he creates.
Fantastic. Now, throughout your interviews around Wisconsin and the region, what is something you found just intriguing or shocking and didn't expect when learning about that particular person? I don't have anything specific. I mean, I guess the real takeaway was that I grew up between two farming families. So knowing that we raised a lot of food for the rest of the country and certainly the region and even other countries was not a mystery to me.
but in the 8.5, 9 years we've been filming Wisconsin Foodie, the depth of the food that we produce here and the soil technology and really the food technology that Wisconsin has, from the cranberry bogs way up north and the wild rice, which is still harvested legitimately, to someone like Crave Brothers, who are going to feature this year, this what would be called a CAFO and a macro dairy and all those words that get thrown around that are less than complimentary at times. But they're doing it so consciously. You know, they've got about 700 cows, and they take the manure from the cows and they put it into a organic combustor, and it fuels their entire operation, their cheese-making operation, plus 300 homes in the nearby town of Waterloo. I mean, you know, this is the sort of consciousness that travels through Wisconsin agriculture. When you walk into their quote-unquote office, they have a rug that says, not dirt, our soil.
And because of your story, because of Wisconsin Foodie, you don't see stories like that on the big nightly news because it's not important. It's not, you know, we're not, it's not important to the mainstream media. But with your storytelling, you're able to show people this exists. People really do care about where their food comes from and the passion they have about helping others be more healthier by eating locally homegrown food.
I would agree. I would agree with you to the extent that the mainstream media or the larger media, I think, is interested in these stories, but so often they have to encapsulate it into a 3 or 4 minute bit.
Right.
And we have the great blessing of being able to stretch out that single story into 30 minutes on public television. And so I think we're both right in that there's an interest in it, but there is an interest in the depth that we have. It's not that there isn't an interest. They don't have the space. They have to get onto hard news, or they have to get onto something else that's more flippant and entertaining, and so on and so forth. Box office returns for the latest movie. We're going to go much deeper, and we're interested in the personalities and the thoughts and the motivations behind. Well, our show is in essence the story of where your food comes from, and you cannot tell that story in 90 seconds.
That's very true. So what would you say is your favorite dish to cook with local ingredients?
Well, that depends on the time of year, right? So when wild rice is being harvested, that's an absolute favorite. My wife is from, she was born in the Duluth area, so we've got a great affinity for that. She's got Scandinavian background. Tomatoes in August, right? I mean, anyone that has spent any time in the summer in Wisconsin knows that they're an elixir of life. They're an absolutely different fruit at that time of year, and so tomatoes deep in August. We cook in the season with pretty much diligence. There's some great squash dishes that if I don't eat them moving into the fall, I lose any superpowers that I have. And so, I mean, I know I'm not answering you directly, but I don't have one thing. It really depends on what week in October are we.
Right.
And then how did the weather play out prior to that? And, this is going to be supreme this week. Let's try and get some of that and come up with 2 or 3 ideas.
Right. And you're absolutely right about the tomatoes. Next to a very good woman, tomatoes come in a close second. Well, what is, and we kind of you touched on this a few moments ago, the importance of local food movement. What is the importance of that to the average, ordinary, urban Milwaukeean? Food is life. Food is identity. Food is community. Food is literally everything. I put a post up the other day on social media in regards to the Easter holiday and the observation of Passover, and I know there's other religious holidays that fall in at this point, but I'm not Catholic or Christian or Jewish, but I can't think of a major religion that doesn't celebrate one of its significant days. I can't think of a significant human experience, whether of joy or sorrow, that isn't touched by food or drink. Right.
That's definitely true. So aside from
that, go ahead.
Go ahead. Aside from farmers markets, what are some good resources to find local and sustainable food?
Sure. I think the Fresh Farm Atlas is our Bible. or whatever metaphor, religious metaphor you want. Our phone book, our yellow pages, our internet. The Fresh Farm Atlas, no matter where you are in the state, I think is such a treasure, such a resource. They have a fundraiser coming up on May 13th that I'm going to be emceeing. I believe in the organization so much. Without that publication, I think that's that's what we go to when we want a humanely raised, free grazed turkey for our Thanksgiving dinner, or we want a pheasant of that ilk for Christmas, or whatever we're looking for really within the region. And it lists out the farmers, and they are very specific about what they make, and you can call them, or here's their website, or these are the come to the farm. It's such a fantastic resource. And beyond that, then really there's a couple of events around the state where that are happening this time of year where you can go. I know the Urban Ecology Center in Milwaukee, you can go and sign up for farmers markets or get a little test and teaser of what their CSAs are and things like that. Those are great resources too, but that Fresh Farm Atlas is just everything.
And because of shows like Wisconsin Foodie, people can come to the realization that food doesn't have to travel from Mexico or California or Japan. They can just travel a few miles or a few feet and get it right here that was locally grown and keep the money in the local economy and help everybody out and eat healthier.
That's right. I always like to leave, you make such a great point, and I always like to leave someone with a directive or something that they can do. There is a very simple app that you can find out there. You just search fruit and vegetable barcode app, and you can put it on your phone and you can scan these fruit and vegetables. And they have to, based on the number code, if it begins with a 6, it's from Mexico, it begins with a 4, it's from, that sort of thing. You can know instantly, and now I can just scan and look at the number, whether it was produced, at least in the United States, versus a foreign country. And I would urge people to, forego strawberries in January, and things like that, because they're coming from Ecuador, as an example. Nothing against Ecuador and the produce that they produce, but think a little bit more consciously about all the things on your table. When we sit down as a family for any meal, we don't pray, but we do a quick invocation where we all say we are grateful for this food and for the hearts that made it. Because so many human hands and so much energy goes to get that food to our table. And I think if people think more consciously about that, we will literally change the world.
Absolutely. Well, Kyle, we appreciate you coming on the program, sharing your information for people who want to find Wisconsin Foodie. Again, where's a place that they can find it? And replays are available on the website too, correct?
Yeah, the website, or you can go to Wisconsin Public Television site and just search in Wisconsin Foodie, or obviously any of your PBS listings where you're going to find us there. But and then the Wisconsin Foodie website. We don't have all the new episodes up yet because we want everyone, they're all filmed and they're sent off to the station, but we want folks watching on Thursdays. We don't want to give away all the secrets yet.
Right.
But as they're up, then they'll be added to the website so people can watch them and share them with families, so on and so forth.
Well, thank you, Kyle, and we'll be back shortly after this.
Delighted. Thank you.
If you're in the Milwaukee or surrounding areas, just tune your radio to 860 AM or FM 106.5. You can also find links on our Facebook pages, The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener and Home Canning. Our website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, click on the radio tab at the top of the page, then click on the Listen Live button, and you'll have immediately access to our live program. Mobile devices work very well also. Go to your app store and download for free the TuneIn app or the Simple Radio app. Then search WNOV 860, save it to your favorites, and you can have access to our radio show live wherever you're at in the world. Our radio program will also have podcast replay under the radio tab several days following the live broadcast. You can find all of these links in the show notes below. Our show airs 9 to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time every Saturday, March through the end of October. And we want to thank our sponsors because without them, this would not be anywhere possible. You can find all of their links under the radio tab on our website at thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.